Hi everybody, in this video I want to talk about how you can probably think about using a more reliable system for spawning items into your DayZ private Nitrado server than trying to mess around with custom item spawns. Now, custom item spawns have their place and they're very good, you know, spawning in things like barrels full of stuff and sea chests full of stuff, but it can be pretty unreliable to do in a consistent manner all around the map. So one of the things you may want to consider doing if you're in that sort of frustrated position where it's working sometimes it's and other times it's not, is try and use the existing vehicles and vehicle spawns as the delivery vector, if you like, for the stuff you want on the map. So let me talk about what I'm trying to do, well, what I've done for the next season on my Nitrado private server. So the theme for my next season is building. I want to make it very, very easy for people to build on my private servers. And yes, I have increased the loot table a little bit on things like nails and hammers and things like that, but I really wanted a pack that people could have so that they could have loads of nails, hammers, pliers, shovels, you know, all that sort of stuff you need to really crack on, especially if you haven't got enough time to spend hours and hours and hours wandering around trying to find stuff. And so what I've done is I've used the existing vehicles, in this case the Ada, and I've put all that stuff in the boot. So this is a clip from a video, and you can see that in the back of the Ada we've got nails, we've got pliers, we've got whetstones, we've got duct tape, we've got watchtower kits, fence kits, all that sort of stuff. And what I found is by using the existing vehicles, it's incredibly reliable, very, very, very reliable, because there's no problems with getting coordinates wrong, where things might clip into the map and disappear. And the other really cool reason for doing it is that it enables you to be able to let people find this stuff very easily as well, because one of the arguments for custom spawn stuff is that you want to put it on the coast, don't you, say somewhere, or you'd want to put it at, say, the northwest airfield. You'd say, well, I'll tell you what, I want to spawn in like sea chests or something all along the northwest airfield full of guns so people can find them and then use them, or along the coast I want to spawn in sea chests so people can find building materials. But again, that can be very unreliable. But what you can do is, if you use the existing vehicles and existing vehicle spawns, see, normally when you're looking for a car, you know, it would look like that and there's all these orange markers. But if you go to the loot in I Survive, and if you're using the Ada as your delivery mechanism for the particular items you want to deliver, you can just untick those boxes, and all the orange markers there with the little cars in on the map are now where your Adas will be. And if you combine this with increasing the number of potential Adas, or whichever vehicle it is, to be close to or equal to the number of potential spawn points for that vehicle, you then give people a very, very high chance, if not 100% chance, of finding that vehicle if they go to that location. So if we take the Ada, the off-road hatchback, the 4x4, as an example, if you go to the event spawns, you'll see that it has 80 potential places where it can spawn. So if you then go to your events and increase that a lot, so for example I've increased mine to 65, so at any one time on the map there should be a potential for 65 off-road hatchbacks. So you know, that's almost 4 out of 5, isn't it? A 4 out of 5 chance for more than that of people finding one. So it wouldn't take long for people wandering from orange marker to orange marker to find an Ada with all this stuff in, to their, you know, and then they can fuel it up because it's got the fuel in the boot. They just need to go and find some water, put the water in, and they can drive it to where they want to make a base, and they can use that Ada to drive off to find another Ada full of stuff. And as I say, it's very reliable, it works, people can find the items, and even say if you go somewhere like around the northwest airfield, say you wanted to do it for weapons, there's plenty of spawn points for vehicles all the way around. I mean, these are just Adas I'm looking at. They're all around there. So you could have Adas full of weapons around this particular area. So the other thing you need to do, obviously, as well, is change the spawnable types, CFG spawnable types, because within your off-road hatchback, remember you've got the different coloured variations as well. I mean, you could make them runnable by adding all the stuff, change the chance to 1. And then all you do is below, when you get to the bottom of the last thing, like the hatchback blue, just copy and paste a load of the attachments in, like hatchback blue, what we got, trunk, hatchback, hood, and then change the item names to what you want in the boot. So canister gasoline, watchtower kit, nail box. Remember, if you're not sure, open up your items file, your types file, and you can find names in there. And just follow this. I mean, if you maximize the video, you can see what I've done. Attachment chance 1, nail box chance 1. There is an alternative way of doing this. I think you don't have to put the chance in for the attachment chance. You just put the item name in. But anyway, this definitely works, and I've tested it, and other people have tested it works. And as you could see, there's all this stuff, and they have loads of space in the back of the vehicles. This Ada has got cargo space for 300, and I've only filled it to 179. And then going back, in fact, to the spawnable types, what you could do if you wanted to is you could have different. Actually, yeah, you would have to be careful if you had different things in different colours, because when you go to the I Survive map, you can't search for different types of different colours of different vehicles. But what you could do, thinking about it, is in your spawnable types, if you've got the off-road hatchback, the Ada is one of them, and then the next one may be let me find it, say the sedan. You could have the sedan as your weapons pack, so you could put that stuff in the boot. Now, one thing I have to say is that be careful, especially on high population servers, of having, adding too many events to what you're doing. So, normally, I think in a server, as far as vehicle off-road hatchbacks go, I think there's normally about 10. And so, I've whacked this up an awful lot, so it could well affect the stability. Now, my servers tend to be very low population. There's very rarely more than 5 or 6 people wandering around the server at the same time. If they all decided to get in a car and start driving around, it could get very glitchy. And if you imagine you had a server with 70 people in, and each one of them was driving a car, your results may vary. But the thing I do know is that if you use vehicles with their existing spawn points as your delivery mechanism for the loot you want to get into the map for your players, it is much more reliable than trying to rely on creating custom spawn points with custom coordinates, which, as I say, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they work really well on flat surfaces, other times they start to clash with each other. And if you're trying, especially if you're trying to put a lot into, say within this case with the Adas, 65 spawn points, to get 65 ones that work around the map can be very difficult indeed. Oh, and as an extra bit as well, you may say, well Rob, what about the spawn points for things that don't spawn into the map? So for example, the V3S, so this is the truck. You'll notice a load of spawn points here for the V3S. You could use that, you could use these. However, the problem with those is that at the moment in I Survive, the map, that vehicle doesn't appear, so people wouldn't know where to go. Also, it'd be very difficult to test because you wouldn't know. You could copy and paste the coordinates into the search box and go and look for those items. I tried to do it by spawning the V3S chassis as the V3S cargo versions into the map, but I wasn't successful. You may well be, but as I say, if you use the existing cars with the existing spawn points and just increase the number of events for those cars and then put the stuff in the boot, I'm sure you'll find this is a much more reliable method. Okay, that's enough from me. Hope you found this useful. Put your questions and comments down below, and I'll see you again soon.